Hello, everyone. Hope you are well on a Tuesday afternoon. So it looks like we have a situation going on in Northern Virginia. Y'all might have seen this, but this has been developing and it may still be going on. I believe it is. I checked on this about an hour ago, and apparently, Northern Virginia, parts of I-95, the interstate, there has been closed due to the winter storm that's been coming through there. But apparently it dumped about a foot of snow through that area, and it has paralyzed traffic. You know, if you're familiar with it, I-95 is a major interstate that runs along most of the eastern United States and north and south, and dumped about a foot of snow. It's closed I-95 northbound and southbound between exits 104 and 152. And that's leading up to Washington, D.C. So in that area, you got people trapped in their vehicles, 19 plus hours now, probably getting close to 24 hours now. The roads are just packed with snow, ice. Pictures I've seen, some video. It looks pretty treacherous. I mean, it looks like an ice rink surrounded by a lot of snow, basically. And so I can imagine you got people just stuck there. Can't go back. They can't go forward. So I don't know if it's still. I think it's still like that right now. Now the sun might be helping out melt some of that right now. But like I said, when I checked it about an hour ago, they were still closed. So the authorities are trying to help people. But as you can imagine, I mean, there's a lot of traffic all the time on 995. It's been a while since I've traveled it, but it's busy. So you got a lot of folks just sitting there. A similar thing happened, believe it or not, in Atlanta. In 2014, some of y'all live down here might remember it, or if you were here back then. In 2014, they called it Snowmageddon in Atlanta, where it's about this time of the year, and it was an afternoon where they saw snow coming in, and it's tough to predict that kind of thing in Atlanta. It's hit and miss, you know. We don't get it that much in this area, but it came in, and the city leadership panicked and just got on the TV and said and advised all the employers in Atlanta just to let their employees go home early. So what you had is a mass exodus of people trying to get back out to the suburbs, going through downtown Atlanta and the surrounding, even in the suburbs of Atlanta, the traffic's terrible. So you had all these people, thousands of people on the road trying to get home. Right, and the timing was terrible. I mean, right when this stuff hit, it was ice. That's the thing about down here in Georgia, in North Georgia especially, we don't necessarily get a lot of real snow. We get slush, but we get ice, especially near the mountains. I mean, we get some ice out here. And it was both in this case. Luckily, I was not in that, but that was a mess. I had a coworker at the time got stuck in that. She told me later on that they were just stranded, and luckily, she was in an area where she was close to a large gas station called a Quick Trip. If you're from this area, near this area, or you've been through, you might know Quick Trip or QTs. They're large gas stations with basically a small grocery store attached to them. They got bathrooms, everything you need, food, drink, all kinds of stuff. So she and some of the people that were stranded around her kind of banded together and walked to this Quick Trip and spent the night there. So they had drink, they had access to a bathroom. It was just an uncomfortable night. So that lasted about 24 hours too. So, but it got me thinking, and I've touched on this before, but especially in the winter when well, depending on where you live, but if you know you're going to travel through a cold region or a climate like this, you know, if you live in Florida or South Georgia or Mississippi, wherever, and you're traveling to Washington, D.C., New York, wherever, and you're going through a region like this, even if it's not in the forecast, be prepared for this. A lot of people, from what I'm reading, are not prepared, or we're not prepared, so they're just passing through and not used to this kind of weather, and they're stuck and they're panicking. So now, luckily, we haven't heard of any lives lost here so far, not that I know of, at least. Uh, but you're going to need more than a flashlight if you're going to get through something like this. First of all, make sure especially if you know you're going to go through a region like this, as best as you can, make sure that your vehicle has plenty of gas, as full as possible. Fill up as often. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is the type of vehicle that you're driving. Most vehicles are front-wheel drive nowadays, or four-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. Even a front-wheel drive is very helpful. If you have a rear drive, those are older vehicles, or some trucks are rear drive, I would avoid that at all if you know you're going to drive through a climate like this. Four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive is better, or front-wheel drive. Now, when you're in ice, it may not matter. You just need to be safe and and stay put until that stuff melts. We can get through it very slow. But ice is a different animal altogether. So some things you want to make sure you have in your vehicle. Some extra food and water. You don't have to weigh it down with a lot of stuff, but have some extra. We keep protein bars in our vehicles, some extra water always. Flashlight, of course, a knife. I keep a Swiss Army knife in my vehicle. Both of our vehicles, this multi-tool, you can use it, has a lot of different functions on it. Hat, gloves, blanket, scarf. If you can, a sleeping bag, especially if you know you're going in the winter like this. Have a sleeping bag, one of those that has that heat that keeps you warm in cold weather. One of those. You might have to spend a little extra. But a good winter type sleeping bag, okay? You need cold weather gear. Jumper cables. I mentioned gasoline already. Shoes for walking, or boots, or something that's waterproof, preferably. Hiking boots that are waterproof, or those boots that you can wear in the snow would be awesome. Something that you can walk in. You may have to start walking, okay? First aid kit. Don't have to have a large one, but a basic, at least the basics. A book, something to read. Of course, you gotta have your cell phone, but I would alternate if you're stuck like this. Alternate between stopping, turning your vehicle off, and then when it gets too cold, turn it back on just to heat it up, just to conserve gas when you can. But a book would be helpful. Something to read. If you have children, something to occupy them. Some games or something, video games. I know, whatever. Something to occupy them. I can't imagine going through this with a bunch of kids now. Lord. Maybe start to get to know your neighbors a little bit. Now, if you're going to be long-term on this thing, 12 to 24 hours, okay, you're going to have to get out and relieve yourself, right, somewhere, or do something. Start to get to know your neighbors that may be stranded by you. Look for the good people. If they seem off, avoid that, of course. But look for the good people. Just to get to know a little bit. You never know. You might need their help. You might be able to help them a little bit. Okay, it can help. It helped my former coworker. They banded together and got talking, and they just stuck together. Safety in numbers. Okay. Defensive weapons, defensive tools. I usually say. Have something. Have some kind of defensive tool for defense only, of course. You just never know. You never know. Have something. I've talked about it before. If it's not a firearm, if you're not comfortable with that, not trained, absolutely don't do that. At least pepper spray, mace, bear mace, something like that. Just something. And that was on my list. Now I'll probably let some things out. Share what you do, especially those of you who drive and live in these cold climates. I'm in North Georgia, so I don't travel north that often. But even here, the weather can get really freaky, unpredictable. So definitely different here than it is in South Georgia or Florida or south of that. So, but let me know your thoughts. Let me know some things on your list, what you keep in the car, and share it with everybody else. I would sure appreciate it. Continue to follow this story. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be aware, be safe out there. God bless you. I'll see you soon.